Hey, everybody, and welcome back to Mortgage Talk with Mark. And stay on the channel because we're not going to be talking about mortgages today, so don't leave us. But we are going to talk about something very, very important. And then the reason I say that is these guests are friends of mine, and I also do business with them. And this is their third time on the show. This is a three-peat. And the reason is because they've saved me lots of money over the years. And we're going to talk about how they do that. Because I learned a long time ago, there's only four reasons people buy something. Number one is to make money. But number two, right behind that, is to save money. And these folks have saved me thousands of dollars. So if you're interested in saving money, if you own real estate, you want to stay on this channel, because I'm going to talk today, Craig Hancock and Margie Verciaga with Home Tax Shield. And like I say, for the last 3 years, I've met these folks and they've saved me lots of money. And this is the season in the spring that we want to be talking about this conversation. So welcome, guys. Welcome back, I should say.
Thank you, Mark. Great to be here.
Yeah. I've had repeat repeat guests before, but not a three-peat. So this is good.
Right.
This is good. It's only going to get
We're
better.
honored.
Yeah. Well, I'm honored, believe me. Because I look at my tax bill every year and I'm thinking, thank you, Jesus, for Craig and Margie.
Well, they come around every year and they will never go away.
They don't go away.
They will never go away.
They won't go away. Now, there is some conversation, and we'll talk about that maybe, come to think of it. There's conversation about changing tax structure around school districts. I don't know. School taxes. I don't know if that's important to talk about today, but maybe.
Oh, it is.
Yeah. Good. Well, let's start with kind of an overview, who you are. You're the owner of the company and where you founded it and your interest, how this came about.
Yeah, so we started Home Tax Shield back in about 2020, and it was started after we learned how many property owners in the state of Texas both didn't protest their property taxes and didn't hire, and the ones that did, most of them don't hire a professional.
Mm-hmm.
And when we learned that,
they try to do it themselves.
They try to do it themselves, or they don't even know they can do it.
Yeah.
Or they don't know how, and they kind of give up quickly. So there's such a tremendous need.
Yes.
In the state of Texas alone for help in this area. And so that got our attention. And then the second thing that got my attention personally, because I'm a bit of a data nerd, is the whole process for both calculating property taxes and protesting property taxes is a ginormous data problem. And I love data problems. And so solving that data problem became passion of mine. So the mission that we have, though, is really simple, not that small, is that we want every single property owner in the state of Texas, all millions of them, to have the chance to actually hire a professional to help them with this.
That's fantastic.
And then we wanted to build a company and a platform that can support and enable that.
I love it because it's come to be that property taxes are gotten kind of expensive here in Texas. And then if you can save us 10% off of that, or maybe sometimes 20% off of that, then those are huge numbers and they add up quickly.
They do.
So I'm very grateful for that personally. So that's why I want to spread the good news, if you will, because some people don't even know it exists.
Right.
They may own a real estate for a few years and they just pay their bill, or they go through their escrow and it just comes out of their escrow account,
Right.
But then they raise their payments every month, every year.
And I think what you've experienced with us is what I hope more and more Texas homeowners will get to experience as well. And that is the benefit of actually being with us for multiple years.
Right.
Because in any given year, there may not be a 10% reduction on the table. It may be 3%.
That's right.
But over time, and over multiple years, it absolutely does add up to many thousands of dollars, even on homes that are lower in value. Over a 3 to 5 year period, you can easily save many thousands of dollars.
Oh, for sure. I know we have.
Yeah,
for sure. So that's why I want you back.
Yep.
So for someone kind of brand new to this, and maybe Margie can help us with it, how are exactly your property taxes calculated in Texas? Or maybe not exactly, but how are they calculated?
Well, actually, they look at equity and sales when considering. So you get.
What do you mean by equity?
So the characteristics of what's in the property, what gives it some extra value.
Okay.
And then the sales is more driven by the market price. So when you get a notice of appraised value, you're getting sales and equity. So think about when you get that notice of appraised value, usually comes in April.
Okay.
They will give you an equity value and a sales value.
Okay.
And
I wouldn't even wear that.
Yes. And the only way to really get the only way to get tax savings is to reduce that appraised value.
Okay.
So we take both of those values and determine what we feel is the accurate appraised value, the most fair value
Mm-hmm.
for each and every property, and try to work with the appraisal district to reduce that value.
Yes.
And I think the stumbling block for a lot of people is they don't want to reduce their sales value because they think that's going to impact their listing value if they were ever to resell their house.
Right.
And helping them realize, I teach a class all over the state of Texas. I ask the question, and this is to realtors that I do it for, and lenders, and I always ask them, who in this room uses the sales value to determine their listing value? And they all look at me like I'm nuts because they don't use that.
Right.
They only look at the notice of appraised value to know what you're paying in taxes,
Sure,
to put it in the MLS, but they do not use that for their listing value.
No, they don't.
And that value that comes out in April is multiplied by the tax rate.
Right.
And that produces your taxes due. So
and that's
there's multiple pieces
conversation
of the
around that too, because tax rates change all over the city.
Yep.
You know, I have a home in Lost Creek. Our tax rate's like 1.85.
Mm-hmm.
But you go up, to other areas, it could be up to $3.
Right.
$3 per thousand. So it can vary quite a bit.
And that's one of the confusing parts for homeowners is it's not just the appraised value. That's the start of the process of the calculation of your taxes. The appraised value times all these tax rates.
Right.
That ultimately produces things. So if you want to lower your taxes, you can both go after your appraised value and make sure you vote for tax rates to go down.
Amen.
And if you can do both of those, then you can actually get some really meaningful.
We need some relief.
Yeah,
for sure. So to Margie's point, so let's talk about the difference between market value of a property and assessed value. You really want to keep your assessed value low. But talk about one time I heard you speak, there's 9 different ways they calculate value. Or something like that.
Yeah.
What is that?
That's one of our favorite slides because it's a mind bending concept and
it really
foreign to
most
everybody. But there's actually 10 different values for your home. They're all different and they're all correct. And that's, and the reason that is because the generation of each of those 10 values is generated for a specific purpose,
right? Related
to real estate and related to that home. It could be a tax appraisal purpose, like we're talking about today. It could be a lending decision.
Right, appraisal.
It could be an insurance decision. It could be a remodel decision. It could be a whole series of things.
Right.
But of the 10, 4 of them are specifically only for property taxes.
Okay.
So,
and what are those?
Yeah. So that's Margie mentioned too. It's the sales value in the county's data, the equity value in the county's data, the market value in the county's data, and then the assessed value in the county's data.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
And so let's talk about appealing those taxes because we've done it for years. But I found you all, and I really enjoy working with you because you've been very helpful to me and my wife. But let's talk about the misconceptions people have about appealing property taxes or what they don't understand about it.
Yeah. Well, and one of the big misunderstandings is what Margie hinted on before, which is that most people, when they think about real estate or their home, they really only think about that market value. Like, what can I sell my home for? That's the only value that's really in their mind at the moment. And so helping
it's on my mind every day.
Right. But those other values, the other ones particularly related to property taxes, that understanding those helps you form a strategy for how you can actually go contest or appeal those values with the county to lower your taxes. And so that whole process can be very confusing for people. A lot of people that do it themselves, they just think about their sales value and then they go in and argue and they only argue sales where they're missing at least half of the other possible arguments that you can make.
Yeah. And what is the other half?
It's called that equity, or what in the state code is called equal and uniform. And so if your home sells for a certain value and the county thinks that you sold it for more than or bought it for more than you actually bought it for, then you can use, that's a sales driven argument.
Okay.
But sometimes if the county actually thinks that you paid less for your home, you don't really have a sales argument because you paid more.
Sure.
But they are also required by state law to value your home in an equal and uniform manner to all of the other homes in your comp set, in your subdivision, in your neighborhood that are in your comp set.
Yeah.
And when you look at that data is not in the MLS. It's not the market data. That data only lives inside the county systems.
Okay.
So you have to go get all of that data from the county in order to even have that conversation with them about an equal and uniform argument.
Okay. I was counseling, well, I shouldn't say counseling because I'm not an expert in this at all, but I was talking to a client who recently bought a home in January. They closed on a property in January, just last month. And the assessed value was $765, and he paid about $100,000 less than that. He got closed on it at a certain value. And I thought, I said double check because I'll refer him to you guys, but can in fact he take that CD or that closing disclosure and show the county what he paid? And do they have to reduce it to that?
That's a great question.
I told him yes, but I thought, I don't know.
Well, most counties will accept that because that is that's a data point of an actual market transaction that happened.
Right.
So
that's what they paid for.
Yeah, exactly. However, it's not guaranteed that the county will or has to accept it. If the county, for whatever reason, particularly in a down market, if the county determines that somebody that bought a property may have bought it below market or at a foreclosure or some other non-market level transaction,
not arm's length,
right? Then what?
Transaction.
The county gets really stuck because by law they have to value that property at the market. And so if you are fortunate enough to purchase a property way below market, technically, although that's a market transaction because you made a purchase, they have to value the property at the market. And so it's not guaranteed that they'll accept that.
Okay.
And if you bring that in thinking that they have to accept that, and then they don't, and you don't have the rest of the arguments that you can make, then you're kind of stuck.
Back to square one.
Right. Which is why we want to bring all the arguments to the table every time, just in case, because we don't really ever know what the county is going to be willing to do.
I'm going to be talking to them in the next few days, so I'm going to remind them of that and refer them to you guys.
Yeah, happy to help.
But it was a property listed for sale. It was not an off-market property. It was listed for sale, and that was the best offer they had. So that seemed to me the market value.
Right.
So
well,
anyway, that's the argument.
There's a little bit of a battle in conversation going on in our business that a lot of the real estate firms are now maintaining these off-market listing portals and and marketplaces that are not technically publicly marketed, and they're not the MLS. So
they're sort of in-house.
They are in-house. And so it does, those things do give the counties the ability to say, well, that wasn't an actual market transaction. So it can be tough to argue against that.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. That's good to know. So let's speak about property taxes. And we talked this a little bit offline before the show about school taxes, as an example. There's conversation, and maybe I'm way off base. Just correct me if I am, because I may be. There's conversation, maybe through legislation, that there's a potential of reducing school taxes or eliminating school taxes or something like that. Y'all know anything about that? Is that come up?
Yeah.
What's the story on that? So
the last two legislative sessions, the legislature has brought forth a tremendous amount of money, billions and billions of dollars. They've put that into the school system in order to lower so the schools can lower the amount of money that they actually need to ask the voters for, which lowers school tax rates. So what's happening is, and this is called compression. So the state is compressing school tax rates by giving the schools billions of dollars.
What do you mean by compressing?
So when the state dumps a bunch of money, excess funds from,
and they got plenty of money.
They got plenty of it. When they dump a bunch of money on the schools, and then the schools have to then go, well, what's our budget for this year? Well, we needed $50 million, but the state just gave us 20 million. So we only really need 30. So now our tax rate to our property owners can go way down because we only need 30.
I see.
And so it's compressing.
Okay. Is it working?
Oh, absolutely.
Good.
Now, but the other side of the conversation is the schools are continually seemingly finding ways that they need more than that.
That's what I figured.
So yes, so there's and so that's why school spending has now also become a hot topic with the legislature, and they're going to try to address both. They're going to try to both continue to give the schools more and more and more money to lower tax rates, and try to keep a closer eye on
their
school
spending,
spending
because it's just like free money.
Yeah, they need more of a justification for why they need the money, not just give me the money.
Right. Right. Exactly.
And I think everybody's seen, that, and I don't think it's necessarily intentional per se, but I'm not an expert, but a lot of the spending at the school level has really kind of been going towards administrative stuff or facilities, not necessarily teachers and kids and the stuff that
new football stadium.
We'd really all love well, football stadiums can be a revenue generator, so I'm not really against those.
That's right. And you play college ball,
right?
Just saying.
Yeah.
So let's talk about doing business with Home Tax Shield. What's the process if somebody wants to contact you guys and let's talk about their situation? Let's talk about that for a minute.
Yeah, so we're very technology and web based. So hometaxshield.com is where you go to start. But I actually would like to answer this question, but just generically, like if somebody wants to hire a tax professional, like where do I go? How do I start? What do I think about? And what do I need to look for?
Yes.
Because there are quite a few of us out there. There's individual people that kind of operate this as a little individual business or a side hustle. There's bigger firms like ours that are out there. They all have different pricing strategies, all provide different levels of service. And so forth. And so I think one of the most important things is that you have to pick somebody that has some local experience in your county and with your county.
Yes.
And so when we built our business, we only pick people that have multiple years of experience in the county that they actually operate in.
Okay. And you're in all counties of Texas.
We're in all the major counties. It's about 50 of them.
I guess
all
some
the
of the
major
smaller
metros.
ones wouldn't be worth it, I guess.
Right. Yeah. So making sure that your professional actually is local and has experience, multiple years of experience local is the first thing. The second thing is really understanding what is their approach to argue your case. And again, we are very comprehensive. All the equity approach effort that we do to build for your case, and the sales approach. And there are other tactics we can use too to try to lower your taxes. And so you want to make sure that your professional is pursuing all paths.
Yes.
And
people don't know what they don't know either. We don't know what all the paths are.
Right. Well, and at a minimum, got to be equity, got to be sales, and they got to be a licensed tax professional and experience in the county. And that'll cover the gamut.
Yeah.
For the most part. And then the last thing, and this is kind of a little bit of a pet peeve of mine, and I really want to caution property owners to be careful with this and make sure that you interview and discuss this with the tax agent that you want to hire. But unfortunately, there's a meaningful number of tax firms that don't charge anything up front. So it's like, don't pay me anything unless I save you money kind of sales pitch, which certainly sounds great and feels great and all that jazz. But when a property owner hires a firm like that, then you're really not hiring them to do a job. You're giving them the option to work on your case if they think they can get if they don't think they can get you an easy reduction. A lot of them unfortunately won't actually work on your case.
Yeah.
And
sorry.
Yeah. And so those pricing models are great, but you got to make sure that your agent really is going to actually work on your case and give you the attention, because unfortunately too many of them just don't do that.
Well, I won't mention any names because it's not fair, but we were with somebody before we hired y'all. Yeah. And they were like that.
Yeah.
And at first they because we've been doing this for years. My wife and I own properties and I want to speak to that too in a minute. Why it's important. But anyway, the last few years before I met you guys, nothing was happening. So now things are happening again.
Hallelujah. It's not uncommon, because you think about the deadline to protest is May 15th.
Yeah, let's keep that date in mind.
So,
May 15th.
And you need to know that. And if you miss it, see you next year.
Right.
There's not another option after there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So in the county, all of us only have a very narrow window where we have to work within. we are very legislated by the state. So every single county has to have 90% of their property values approved by July 25th.
Okay.
And so
basically 2 months later.
yeah.
Yeah.
So they have got to run all of us through that system pretty darn quickly. And so you can see what we're working with. So you can also see where companies like our own that operate more manually
Mm-hmm.
versus technology wise, they're limited on how many properties they can take
Sure.
and work on, and understandably. So they're going to go to those that they can see kind of an easy path automatically. But the other thing to keep in mind, what has happened over the last number of years, especially during the years where we had caps on homestead, and we can go into that in a minute, they needed to find another way to justify their income. Nobody is in business not to make money.
Exactly.
So yes, we want to save the property owner money, but we also want to make money too. That's
Sure.
what we do.
Incentives.
All of
Incentive.
us
Nonprofit.
do in this business. So what has come to pass is a number of them are charging differently, and they are charging for a reduction, but they're not necessarily saving you on your taxes. That is, you must know that going in, no matter who you hire. How are you going to calculate my fee?
Savings and fees.
And a lot of them say, well, when we get you a reduction. Well, what kind of reduction? So I'll give you an example. We've got several clients that ran up against this. We have a number of competitors that charge for any kind of reduction. And that's totally fine. We understand why they do that.
Sure.
But the consumer doesn't. So all of a sudden they're having to pay, like we had a friend that had to pay, he got a $300,000 reduction on his house in Westlake.
How much?
$300,000 reduction.
Wow.
But zero tax savings.
How's that work?
Because you can reduce the market value without reducing the appraised value.
I see.
And you do want to do that.
Yeah.
But at Home Tax Show, we don't charge when we only get a market reduction. And we only do that when we can't get the appraised. We continue to at least help the homeowner, because the following year, that's where the county will start, where that market was reduced. So anyway, this client got charged $3,000 and didn't get any tax savings.
Oh my gosh.
So, and that's just
horrible.
one of many.
Yep.
So just know how whoever you hire charges.
Well, just another plug for you guys. One of my properties I escrow my taxes. The other two I pay separately, And for the first year in 37 years of owning properties, I had an overage in my escrow.
Hey, that makes me so happy to hear, because that means we are really crushing it on that.
That's
home
right.
payment.
They lowered my payment.
Right.
I was like, what?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, on the converse, that's actually another point of confusion, is we'll get them a reduction and actually save them money on their tax bill that year, but their mortgage escrow company won't lower the amount that they escrow every month. And so their mortgage payment stays the same.
Yeah, not right.
People have to remember that it is up to your mortgage company to decide how much they would like to escrow. And if their forecast shows that your property taxes are going up, they may not lower your escrow.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's up to that's up to them.
Formula,
you can call and complain to them about that,
right.
but
they control that.
But they control that. Yeah. And a lot of people don't understand that.
Well, as I figured, it's going to be a quick conversation. We've got a couple minutes left. Let's hit on homestead exemptions. Let's talk about exemptions real quick on how valuable and important they are to have, and what they mean.
Well, and we talked about some of the legislative efforts that have happened the last couple of years, and is going to happen again next year for the legislature to buy down or compress taxes at schools, right?
Okay.
So that's happening, which is great.
Good.
Right. And of course, we and other firms are protesting for the values for lots of customers, which is great. That needs to happen. But to your point, I just lost my thought. Where's
that homestead?
Homestead. Yeah. The exemptions are really critical, because the legislature has also been increasing the value of exemptions.
Yes.
And so both the over 65 exemption
Mm-hmm.
and the homestead exemption, and this isn't technically, the business personal property exemption went up from $2,500 to $125,000.
Really? I didn't know that.
So for small business owners, this is huge. So to your point, Mark, exemptions, really important that you make sure you apply for every single one that you might qualify for.
Yeah.
And it's the litany of these different activities you have to do. Apply for exemptions, protest your taxes every year, make sure you watch your local tax rates so that you're voting against or for what you want to happen on tax rates.
Right.
You kind of have to,
Pay
it's a full court
attention.
press on
Yeah.
all fronts.
Exactly.
That you have
Well,
to
that's good to
pursue.
know.
Yeah.
So we got about a minute left. And so if somebody wants to do business with you guys, how do they find your website and all that good stuff?
Yeah. HomeTaxShield.com.
Easy enough.
Yep. And one of the things that I'm also proud to say is that when you go there, we're very tech driven.
Yep.
And give you great access to your data and your portal when you sign up. But we have a wonderful support team that is not AI agents.
Yeah,
they're
real
actual
people.
humans.
Man,
They're real
imagine
people.
that.
Yeah.
Imagine
so
that.
you can actually chat with somebody and
a
we will be
miracle.
a real person.
Yeah, so don't hesitate to throw a question into the web chat because that's answered by our local staff,
Yep.
including Craig likes to get
I
on there
love to
and
work it.
answer.
I work it
love
myself.
that.
Yeah.
So
I love
you
that.
so it's being answered locally, not from somewhere by people that know what they're doing and
Right.
what they're talking
Well, it's
about.
very user friendly. I will say that.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm not very techy. I can even make my way around it. But I'm just
That's
glad you
great.
guys could come back on. I appreciate your time. It's been great
you.
to see you, and I'll continue to promote your service because it's really helped my wife and I, and we appreciate that. So
That's great
We
to hear. Thank you,
appreciate
Mark.
you.
you're
Thank